Topic 1. We are going to look at systems in sort of real life contexts. So here's a situation. A springboard diver practices her dives from a 3-meter springboard. Her coach uses the video analysis to plot her height above the water. So which system below represents the scenario? And what do the intersection points really mean? How do we interpret those points? Okay, so let's have a look at each system. Well, we know that if we draw a picture, let's just draw a visual picture. So we know a springboard looks like that. Okay, so there's the diving board. And we know it's on a deck. And we know the water looks like that. All right, so when the person goes off the board, it's going to be a problem. Okay, makes sense. It has to be a problem. So right off the bat, you know it can't be B. So let's just cross out B, just process of elimination. Now, the other thing you have to realize is that when the person is standing on the board, let's draw in our X and Y axis, because that helps us. So we know there's the Y axis and there's the X axis. Okay, so the diving board, okay, is going straight up. That's the height of the diver. It's on a straight line. So we know system A is out, process elimination, because the diving board's not angling down. Now we're between C and D. Well, the answer would be D because if you look at C, the person is not on the diving board. They're sort of up. And if you look at my picture, here is my person, this girl on the diving board. She is standing on the diving board. She's not levitated up. So we know the answer is system D. All right, so that makes sense. And drawing pictures, drawing this picture is sometimes makes things a lot easier to solve. Okay, now what do those x-intercepts, y-intercepts, or we can even look at, there's the y-intercept. We can even look at that. That can help us with information. There's an intercept where the diving board height intercepts the person's path. And we have the x-intercept. Those are some key points. And what do they mean? What do they interpret? So let's look at A. Well, A is your y-intercept. And that's the initial height. That tells us the initial height at start. And then time equals 0. Okay? So we know that's where she is. Now we know that's 3 meters because it told us in scenario. Okay, let's look at B. Well, point B, it's not an intercept, but it's an important point. That's the maximum height she gets. Okay? Now let's look at point C right here. That's where her path intercepts the height of the board. So that's her flight path meets the board. Right. So that can tell the coach how many somersaults she can do, because generally when you get to this point here, you have to be leveling out to dive in. So all your tricks would be done up in this section, so your somersaults or whatever. And point D, the one down at the bottom there, we know that is the x-intercept, and that is the total time she is in the air, where she splashes into the water. Okay, so that is a scenario. Okay, when you are dealing with this learning guide 16, we're solving systems of equations. So that means there's 2 systems. And we are going to come up with 3 different types. Okay, we're going to get a 1 solution. That means we have, say, a parabola, a quadratic function, and a linear function, and they intersect just in one spot. So say we get an answer that looks like roughly 3, -3. So we get an answer 3, -3. We'll see 2 solutions. That's where we intersect twice. So it looks like it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. -5 and 1, 2, 3 is 1 solution. That's that one. And this one looks like it's 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that's that solution. So you get your solutions. And then sometimes we get no solution. So there's no paths, there's no intersections. Okay, so in example 2, we are going to look at the ways you can solve these systems. One way we can solve is by graphing, using our graphing calculator. So here's our 2 examples. All right, so to get a solution, the first thing you have to do, right here, the first thing, is you have to get into y equals. So to get this into y equals, I'm just going to move this over to that side. So y equals, why I did that is because I want it to be positive y. So we have 4x plus 3, okay? So there is my first y equals. This one here, same thing, I have a negative y, I'm just going to move it over there. And so I have 2x squared plus 8x plus 3. So now I have them into y equals. Now I'm going to go to my calculator, punch them in. So that one and that one go into my calculator. All right. Then this picture, you get this parabola and this line. Okay. And we have 2 points of intersection right there and right there. And we use our second trace 5 feature. And when we do that, we get these answers. So it's pretty straightforward. Just the hard part is probably getting into y equals. Okay, so let's just take an example and let's try these ones. All right, so let's just do the first one. Okay, so if we look at this one, we want to get y equals. So that y is going to come over to make it positive. And so we have x plus 1. So in my y1, I'm going to have x plus 1. All right. Then I'm going to type in, there's my y. So y2, there it is. So this has to go over, this has to go over, and this has to fly over. So I get negative x squared plus 6x minus 3. Okay? So those are my 2 y equals. Now let's get our calculator out. Oops. And let's just move this over this side so we can see my functions. All right. So now let's go to y equals. Let's clear that. Okay, so y equals, and now I have y1. Let's clear that. So we have x plus 1, and let's just go into that. And y2, I have negative x squared plus 6x subtract 3. Okay, let's hit graph. Okay, so I have my intersection points there and there. So let's go find them. It's the second trace feature. Second trace 5. Okay, so let's just drag it. I always find the left one first, doesn't really matter. So enter, 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 and we get an answer of 1, 1, 2. Okay? So now we have another one up there. So we do second trace 5, drag it up, enter, 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 and we get 4 and 5. So we get 4 and 5. So there are my answers for those systems. Okay.